Welcome back. I'm Tom Hewitt, and this is News 13's Eye on the Election. I'm sitting here with Doug Isaacson, who's running for House District 1. And Doug, you've served as mayor of North Pole, and what made you decide to, I guess, take the plunge into running for state office?
Well, a lot of the issues that is facing the state is facing North Pole as a city. We're home to two oil refineries. There's only 4 in the state of Alaska. They're also the largest customer of the Alaska Railroad, and that's hurting right now. Transportation issues. Golden Valley has its 180 potential megawatts of power generation, and electricity is a huge issue to us right now. So Eielson Air Force Base, which is North Pole South, is a lot of our constituency, my constituency right now as a mayor. So whatever the topics, it seems to be there's a center hook in the city of North Pole.
Governor Sean Parnell has called for a sizable cut to the state's oil excise tax in order to spur production on the North Slope, get more oil in the pipeline, but that would also make a significant dent in the revenues that the state enjoys. So what's your position on that? That's obviously going to come up this next legislative session, and if you are a member of the House, you'll be getting to vote on that. How do you feel about the governor's proposal?
I'm very supportive. The city of North Pole was an early signer to the idea of being more competitive. I think we should do something further, and even the governor said, hey, if there's ways to improve this, improve it. It may not be the finished product. The Senate did not seek to improve it. They just tried to get something else. What I'm thinking we might do is incorporate some of the Norwegian model, as was reported this last session. Which says you got 5 years to work your lease. If you don't work your lease, it goes to somebody else, instead of having a perpetual thing that they can hold on to and use us as a pawn in their major chess game. Another thing, though, is to help increase that, is to do seismic activity ourselves so that we have the 2D, 3D mapping that's required so everyone knows what potentials are there. And so it's not a question that, oh, we have to do so many wells before we maybe find something. We have some expectations that can be met. So I think done in that way, we actually increase our competitiveness, we increase our production, and increase revenues to the state in the return.
You've championed the cause of royalty oil and getting producers to provide that oil to local consumers at a lower rate. And recently there was a forum, a hearing that the Senate Energy Committee had here in town, and state officials said that it would be difficult and somewhat legally problematic to do that. Are you still bullish on royalty oil? Do you still think that's something worth pursuing?
Yes, because again, my whole premise is you start with a can't, you end up with a won't. You start with a can and you'll find a will. You find a way. A lot of the information that was in that I've looked at, and there has been some misrepresentations of what state statute. The City Council of North Pole went ahead and passed a resolution that actually outlines in state statute all the ways that can be enacted. And as a result of that, that's when I started getting some high-level administration folks talking to us saying, okay, I guess you know a little bit more than what you've been letting on. We do know a little bit more. We know that it's possible for them to do this. But I can see that perhaps the administration wouldn't want to allow us to get complacent, so that if we just had lower cost energy, we wouldn't be transitioning to something that's sustainably low cost. What are we talking about when we're talking about a subsidy? Even though Anchorage has had a subsidy with low cost natural gas for over 3 decades, power cost equalization has benefited the rural villages to some extent for the past 3 decades. What we're talking about is we use 49 million gallons of heating oil a year. Give us a $2 subsidy, that's only $100 million. $100 million that affects us day in, day out, year in, year out, for a set period of time till we can get trucking going. That could be 3, 5, 7, 8 years, and then it stops when we get the majority of houses hooked up to that. But this subsidy then is only $100 million. not a one-time only. It doesn't, like the vouchers that you hear some of the people, including my opponent, pushing. A voucher is a $350 million prospect this year. It's a $15 million administrative cost. Royalty Oil does not have that. It's a one-time only benefit, and that's a taxable benefit that you have to come up with some cash to pay the IRS on. Royalty Oil subsidy, if you want to call it, hits before the Treasury, and it doesn't give us a tax burden, and it helps individuals and businesses. It really stabilizes our economy and creates an incentive for investment.
All right, well, I think that's about all the time we have, but thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
And for the rest of you, don't go away just yet. We've got sports coming up next with Jamie Schwartzwald.